will lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for what you do for us, the things we do know about and even the things we don't. And God, we just praise you for the sunshine and the warmth and just knowing that you're in control of it all. And the sun shining on your face is just like a big love note from you. God, we ask you to be with those that are sick. Be with Miss Lynn Whitaker as she's in the hospital, Lord. We just pray that your will be done in her life. God, we just ask for those that are still recovering from Hurricane Helene and the flood, Lord, that you'll just bless them. Help us to serve, help us to witness to others, and help us to be the light in our dark community. Help us tonight as we talk about things. Guide us, give us your wisdom and knowledge. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Let's face the American flag. I
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board would like to welcome Ms. Melissa Wood. She is the TSBA Northeast District Director and the Kingsport Board of Education Chairman.
This is my first official event, and I cannot think of a better group to kick things off with than you guys. I really enjoyed my time here in December and your meeting and then a time of fellowship, so it's great to be back. And it's actually a privilege. Thank you, Chairman Buchanan and members of the board, Superintendent Boyd. It's my privilege to be here tonight to present you with the TSBA Board of Distinction Award. This award is one of TSBA's most prestigious awards. I commend your board for meeting the requirements in 4 key areas: planning, policy, promotion, and board development. And I can attest to that. I attend a lot of events and I see every one of you up there, and it's really, it's something that your community should be very proud of how seriously you take this role. As you know, the requirements are extensive and not every board qualifies as a board of distinction. However, this board is among those select few. On behalf of the Tennessee School Boards Association, I'm proud to present the Board of Distinction Award to the Washington County Board of Education. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
So if y'all will come down.
Okay.
She's gonna get one without and one without.
Very good. One without me, I'm just extra.
1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6.
Alright.
You learned that, huh? I did. I got a Davy Crockett diploma. That's impressive.
Alright. 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations. You're right. Y'all have been moving. You see tremendous.
Right, early. Let's go in church. Same as one, Jay. Don't know if nothing appropriate there.
Before I open it up for the consideration of the meeting agenda, I just wanted to let everybody know that Mr. Riddle is joining us by video chat tonight. He's a little under the weather, and we prefer him to be at home instead of around the table tonight. So he made that decision and felt like he needed to be home. So do I have a recommendation for the consideration of the meeting agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll second.
Mr. Fleener made the motion. Mr. Walters second.
And Madam Chair, I'd like to request that item 10D, the resolution, be moved further in the agenda. For the first time ever, I'm going to miss part of the board meeting, and I'd like to be able to address that item rather than wait until the very end of the agenda.
Chairman.
Yep.
Discussion
Um,
before Lewis Group has a chance to.
For the Lewis Group. So we can put that in before the Lewis Group right there?
Will that work, Mr. Huddleston?
That would be
Move it to the top of the discussion section.
That would be perfect.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to add, South Central ball field.
To the discussion,
Yes. Discuss.
put it in as just right there after policy.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any objections to either one of those? All right. We have the resolution going in before the Lewis Group and the South Central Ball Fields right after policy. We have a motion and a second, so can we vote, please?
Voting's open. Mr. Riddle, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
All agreed.
I'd like to turn the meeting over to Mr. Bull.
Thank you. So we get the opportunity to hear from one of our school groups, Grandview Beta Club, and I'm going to just hand it over to Principal Dr. Sarah Churchwell to introduce her students.
Thank you all for having us tonight. I've asked some of our 8th grade Beta Club members to highlight Grandview, so we have them coming up, and they're going to share a little bit about Grandview.
Great.
They'll introduce themselves to you.
Well, thank you. Guess we'll each take one.
Sorry.
Hello, I'm Chloe Patterson.
I'm Chase.
I'm Isabella.
My name's Emily. I'm Rebecca. And I'm Sophia. Thank you for letting us represent Grandview, and this is our presentation. We hope you enjoy. Grandview always grows exceptional students. Our community partner is Limestone Bible Baptist Church. They donated money and I actually attend this church.
Dr. Heaton uses experiences in the culture from our school experiences in the data from our school to improve the education and the culture so kids feel welcome.
These are some of our elite Eagles who show exceptional behavior every day.
These are our elite reading buddies. Our older grades go down to our younger grades and read every last Friday of the month.
These are our guest speakers, which appear in our Eagle Assistant class and eSports class.
These are our teachers of the year, Ms. Babb and Mr. Holly. I'm a former student of both of them, and they are fantastic teachers, and they deserve this award very much.
Our school offers many extracurricular activities for our students. They also offer electives for our 7th and 8th graders to give us an idea of what career we might want to pursue when we're older.
This is our CTE RTI. It helps us experience jobs so we can have an idea of what we want to do when we're older.
This is Math and Movement. We had this near Halloween time, and the younger ones played math games while we helped. These are also our middle school sports, including golf that's not up there, for 6th through 8th grade. This is a program called SLICE where teachers try to implement STEM and technology into our education. This went to? Wonderland, where we do around Christmas season. And we collaborated with Lamar. Grandview also helped provide food and water for those who were affected by Hurricane Helene. Our cross-country team also volunteered for this. Thank you. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, guys.
So they highlighted just some of the things that we have at Grandview. We have incorporated reading buddies this past year. You got to see a little picture of that. We've got some of our 7th and 8th graders that read to our younger ones. They'll go into the pre-K classrooms and into the kindergarten first grade and do some things like that. We've expanded our CTE. We've had multiple guest speakers, 12 so far this year. And then we are in with our communication with David Crockett. We've had some of our kids actually go up and do some of their welding. And so that was a great experience for them. And my CTE teacher is in constant communication with Crockett, trying to make sure that we're exposing our students to what they're going to be offered in high school too. So thank you all.
I don't know if your students know, but the night that they brought food, they fed 138 people.
Now we don't get to hear that.
Yep, that's how many meals went out of what they brought and they sent out and delivered to people who couldn't, didn't have cars, didn't have whatever. It was 138.
Thank you. I'll
Great.
take that back and I'll share that.
That's great.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
There was nobody on the list for public comment. Approval of the mini minutes. Do we have a recommendation for the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Can we vote, please?
Voting open. How do you vote, Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
All approved.
Announcements, Mr. Boyd.
Just several dates listed there. We had the HUE meeting, committee meeting today. We had several items on the HUE committee. The items for action were all approved to move on to the budget committee next week. As beginning Monday, there's the TSBA Legislative and Legal Institute that many of you are attending in Franklin, Tennessee. It adjourns on Tuesday afternoon, but it begins about noon or 2 o'clock, I think, on Monday, the 10th. And just for your awareness, then from there, I'm joining the board members, and then I'm going to downtown Nashville for the superintendent's legislative and learning that will adjourn on Thursday afternoon. So I'll be down there the whole week and be back in the office on Friday. Budget committee meeting next week. Because of my absence, Mr. Hell is going to be the representative, and I hope he'll answer any questions and probably do so and better than I could. So full confidence he'll represent us well. And then just the other notices, we do have on the calendar an approved holiday, President's Day holiday on the 17th. All offices, schools, and services are closed on that day for the holiday. And then we do have the big one to note, just for a reminder to all of you and community awareness, we have a joint meeting. It's a non-action meeting, but it's joint discussion between the board and the commission with focuses on, planning for the fiscal year 26 budget and other conversations maybe for long-range planning, the two bodies. And then the county commission meeting, of course, you see that in our workshop for February is the 25th. So that's all of the updates at this point.
So is this one considered, this joint meeting, is it considered a workshop or?
It's a workshop, but it has to be publicly advertised.
Correct.
Because the two bodies and a quorum is there, but it's not intended for any action, just discussion.
Chairman, just a question about the meeting on the 20th. Will we get an agenda or
Yes, sir.
something prior?
Yeah, just we'll treat it like any other meeting. We'll release an agenda and try to outline some focus so we can maybe stay on track. Yes, sir.
Structure is always good.
Structure is always good, yes.
It is helpful. Superintendent's report, I'm going to turn over to Nate. Nate's our student board member from Danny Boone High School, and he's going to give us some updates.
So hello, I'm here to present my own school. So Daniel Boone High School, you can see right there. I'm going to play video of the first school day.
There you go.
Coming in.
There you go.
Or he's trying to come face. Okay. Whatever the case, when we were coming in during the first day of school, there was the drum line in right beside the wall. And so we were able to start the school off strong with strong rhythm of the drum line. So we continued that. So we started school on a half day on Monday, August 5th. And then on Thursday, August 8th, there was Boone Pride Night. So we really started the school year off strong. We had food trucks, I think around half a dozen. There was a DJ, and the different clubs were there to introduce to the new students, as well as give the students tours of the place. So a bit more just an open house for having some fun, helping connect the students to everything around the school. Now here I have a general academics, and this is going to be sort of the top part of Daniel Boone. It's some of the best of what we do. So you can see, especially in the sciences in the left, you can see there's lots of hands-on projects. You can see at the bottom left, there's chemistry. They're doing a flame test in Mrs. Carr's room. And I believe it's to determine what sort of metals in the compound. You can see the really tall picture is the physics class going outside into the field on the baseball field, and they are launching rockets. They have a rocket competition, and they paint them. The students get the kits, and they put them together, and they take them outside and fly. Up there you can see a group project as well. There's lots of group projects, especially in those upper classes. And in biology, this one's about the water cycle, so and a lot of the projects that we do, especially in the sciences and foreign language, they get posted onto the lockers in the hall for other people to see. As you can see over on the top right, certainly teaching his history class. We have U.S. history in both the normal form and the AP. That one's them reading the jungle, so how the sausage is made, how sausage was made in some of the early industrial parts of, I think, the early 1900s, late 1800s, and working conditions were much lower. Then at the bottom, you can see a couple students in Mrs. Smith's English class for freshmen putting together sticky notes on the wall. Because English class isn't just about reading and writing, although those are very important, but they're about putting those ideas together. And so these English classes would help do that. And so you can see this class is putting sticky notes together. Sometimes we'll also, especially I think in Ms. Clark's class, we will take and use the whiteboards as well for that. Then here's one of the special projects from the Foreign Language Department, Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, around the end of October, early November. So the bottom left picture is the example that I think one of the teachers made. I'm not quite sure about that. But it has lots of different notes about what everything is. So teaching them just those little aspects of the culture to help them have that nuance in the brain. And then that top picture, that bottom row, there's lots of shoe boxes. So we help them learn about these things, but also have doable projects they can do to help form these ideas by themselves. So they have their own little shoebox memorials and things like pets and celebrities and all that who passed away. And you can see in the bottom right, the students are sitting there watching a video, because the videos can also help introduce them to some of the people speaking Spanish natively and just talking more about someone's own culture. And then wider learning, so beyond just ELA, history, math, and science, we have art class. So here you can see as well celebrating some of history and some culture with Martin Luther King Jr. Day in art class. At the bottom left, and I believe y'all experienced this for y'all yourselves, with the culinary arts class, they provided breakfast for y'all. So think about that as another life skill that the school is able to provide them with cooking they might not be able to get elsewhere. Then we have the CTE classes on the right. So you can see at the top right is the pharmacy technician class. They went to a field trip to the Bill Gatton College of Pharmacy in ETSU to go tour that. So that's a picture of them, I guess, at the end of the tour. And then at the bottom right, it's learning wiring and electrical class. I think they're wiring and switch to a light bulb and that. But just some of these skills, life skills and also occupation skills to help send them into the workforce. And there's a lot of those CTE classes, lots of different variations of those that help them not just with the academic stuff and going into colleges, but going to the workforce and helping in those necessary areas. As for the college and academics, we have the advanced placement courses. Just to update you on those courses, there are 11. There are 3 science, 2 math, 2 English, and then 4 of the social sciences. So you can see there's AP Biology and AP Environmental Science. Those are 2 of the more popular science classes that are AP. There's also AP Chemistry, which has fewer students in it. You can see those 2 pictures on the left are from AP Environmental Science. So we were playing around with dirt and that, looking at the different textures of dirt, so clay and silt and sand and all that. So of course the dirt lab was the best picture to put on there. But as for math, there's AP Calculus, AB, and BC. So AB I think would be the first level class in college, and BC would be the second level. Those 2 are put together, and they can choose which test to take. But before that, there's also AP Pre-Calculus, which I believe our school was introduced to just last year. And so that's going to help people, especially to have more incentive to go towards that calculus and go towards that higher math, because there's more AP credit in it as well for the GPA and maybe some college credit in there as well. And then of course there's the reading and writing classes. There's English language and composition, that's more of the writing class. That's where I mentioned those whiteboards. We went around in the walls and worked together on that. And then there's reading class with AP English literature. And then at the bottom there's the 4 social studies classes. So there's AP Human Geography, that's usually a freshman course, and that talks about demographics and about people all over the world. Then sophomore year, they focus down to the U.S. government. And then junior year, generally, it's just U.S. history, so it's the classic history. But again, it's AP level as well. And then a lot of people take European history, actually, their senior year. So that's how the progression of AP courses is currently. Then just reaching a larger world. On the left, you can see at the top left, a course called On My Own. So where they have people come in personal finance, I think, and they were learning just to live life on their own, and so deal with some of those financials in personal finance. So learning that, you can see the teachers learning to manage things. So the students are learning to love to manage their own lives, and the teachers are learning to manage the students. So you can see down there, the teachers sometimes have the professional development after school. So you can see, I think it's Dr. Arnold presenting a couple different ways of learning retention. And then there's some math teachers studying benchmark test scores. And then on the right, there's the history field trip. They went to Colonial Williamsburg, and they went to Petersburg and Appomattox Courthouse. So they took a round trip in Virginia. That was in the fall. And they potentially might go on another one down to Charleston, I think, this spring. We'll see about that one. It's just expanding to that wider world and looking at these details of the world around us, and not just what's right here in these little pieces of academics. Music. So music's been doing very well this year as well. You can see up at the top left, there's the choir with their Christmas concert, and then 12 choral students managed to make it to All-State this year. I think is an incredible achievement. And I think the band as well is going to Gatlinburg for All-State. So it's not just choir, but the choir's been doing very well. You can see in the center too, that's the band competing at Elizabeth School with several other bands as well. So they had an amazing show there. You can see them at the Great Parade at the top right. And then at the bottom right, you can see they've been working with the elementary school band as well. So that's a concert at Ridgeview with the people in middle school and elementary school playing with them. I don't think they play simultaneously, but they took turns and they had a full concert with them. The speech and debate has been doing incredible things this year. They've been winning awards billboards at all sorts of places. You can see them at Science Hill and up in Sullivan County, Dobbins Bennett and Sullivan East. People like Emery Zilke, Lyle Weber, Carter Hartley, and all of them have been doing amazing things with speaking. And I think they'll continue to do that this year. The Key Club. There's a lot of community service in here. Key Club and some of the other clubs, I think, they've been growing. Key Club especially in these past couple of years. There's Wardrobe, which has donated clothes. They do that a lot. Although I don't think that was what was specifically used for Halloween, but we'll get to that. You can see there they are in Jonesboro. Helping kids make little toy tops and then just participating in the parade. And then it's a relatively new thing, so I only have a picture of a poster. But they've been working with the Builders Club as well. So Key Club's part of the Kiwanis family of community service. So it extends from adults. There's a college version called Circle K, which is Key Club, and then elementary school is Builders Club. So they've worked together previously with it as well, which is good connecting with those elementary schools. And I think Grandview mentioned as well they have Builders Clubs. So things like that have been growing. And then as for the clubs and student organizations in general, for the honors ones we have, and just the higher up ones we have Student Council, which is led by Lisa Byers, I think, and then Beta Club. And HS we do have, although I think it's going away because it hasn't been doing much. But Beta Club has been doing more. So you can see in the top left that we did window washing. It's a little way to help the school out at one point that we hadn't done before. And I think this spring we'll also go and read to some of the elementary school students of the couple of schools around the area. With Christian clubs, there's still FCA, there's First Priority, there's Truth Bible Club. There's a lot of CTE clubs, and a lot of times the clubs correlate with a certain class. So you can see OSA, Future Health Professionals, often corresponds with those medical classes. A lot of the same people are in those. Future Farmers of America and those agri science classes. Okay. You can see them in the bottom left. Also reading to some elementary school students, but with a focus on agriculture. We have Future Teachers of America. We have the Technology Student Association, some more technological classes. And we have Skills USA as well. I already mentioned speech and debate, they've been doing very well. And there's also Drama Club, which I think had a comedy improvisation night. There's Yearbook, who again was taking pictures from the very first day. There was a photo booth set up with the drum line coming right through it. So Yearbook's been working very hard this year. Key Club I already mentioned as well. International Club. There's a lot of those same sort of projects as I mentioned. Dia de los Muertos and Foreign Language Department. And I think the main project generally is to do medical dolls, help people in hospitals, help kids in hospitals. There's Mission Club, and there's Photography and Strategy Club. There's a couple new ones this year. So there's Hiking and Biking Club. So we go out and just hike places. I think there's a bike planned to be somewhat soon. So far it's been hiking and just going out. It's more of a casual thing. But that's one of the new ones. It's by Mr. Lucas, so an environmental science teacher. And then another teacher I think has started an anime club, and I'm not sure how that's going, but I imagine it's very interesting. And you can see it, the trunk or treat at the bottom right, although maybe not so well. But sometimes with the school events, those clubs will all show up and they'll help get together and work on these things. And sometimes the clubs will compete for you as well. So for trunk or treat, the clubs came together and each club had their own trunk with their own candy and their own theme. So they've been working together very well. So between schools and between clubs. So, of course, there's not only academics, there's snow as well. And almost all these pictures were from the Facebook page of Washington County, except that center one, which is a snowman on the car during a 2-hour delay. We still had snow. That was brought to school. I did that. And then as for crazy weather, of course, we had Helene. Those are also pictures from the Facebook page. And as you can see here, Boone was separated from Boone, and the mountains were just closed down, and so it needed a lot of help. So you can see here, there's FFA students. They were helping with back to basics, so something at the foothills down the south side of the county. I know that Crossroads, the church right next to Boone, was a distribution center for FEMA. And cross country, as far as I know, has been doing amazing things, not only just running, but helping run other programs. Well, maybe not programs, but going and helping with these people, helping with that relief. You can see them on the left delivering supplies from a helicopter, and on the right you can see them sorting out some other supplies on some tables. We got sports. Again, a lot of the sports and a lot of the people this year, everyone was attracted to those mountains when the meeting came through. So everyone came down the hill all together. So we lost the musket ball, but we were able to give to our community. You can see at the bottom left, there's basketball, girls and boys, and they were able to help support the Ronald McDonald House with some gifts. You can see at the top right, the cross country was state bound, went to state, but they also helped with other things. Like down at the bottom right, it was a dinner, I think, for kids and seniors by the Great Community Chess. So they've been helping with that as well. And finally, here's a picture of the senior sunrise. So I know the school's been trying to take care of the seniors this year with all sorts of help, like from Kate Gray with FAFSA and all that, to help complete those forms and just prepare for college or whatever lies beyond. See, this was meant to bring the seniors together as well. So this was before school, and I believe they're planning one after school, well, in the evening as well as a senior sunrise. And we're hoping to graduate another great class of Daniel Boone students this year in 2025.
Where you at in there, Nate?
What?
Where you at in there?
That's the
Sunrise, was
I
you
don't
there?
think
I see the other student board member, I believe, on the far right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the far right.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
good, sir. Thank you.
I gotta ask, what is Amy's Club?
Anime?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Animation.
Cartoon.
Animation, cartoons,
Japanese cartoons,
Japanese
something
cartoons.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
a
not
lot
part
of
of
times
that, I wouldn't
associated
know.
with that.
I had no, I didn't know
Yeah.
what that was.
Yeah.
It's kind of a Japanese
I don't know.
top.
Yeah, I'm sure if we could show you some photos, you'd recognize some of the anime.
Yes. All right, enrollment date.
Yeah, the next items are just for, board awareness and public record. You can see the various reports from enrollment to the field trip reports that don't require board action, a grant report from Mrs. McKinney, financials from Mr. Hale. Those documents, most of them, if not all of them, were reviewed at the workshop or available at the workshop. And then the reports that you can access to just look at various maintenance, the level of maintenance at the buildings.
Very good. Thank you. Is there a recommendation for the consideration of the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion, we approve considering this consent agenda.
A second.
Any discussion? Can we vote, Jennifer?
Voting's open.
So I don't know why it just didn't let me vote, but it said I had to abstain.
Oh, can we say yes?
Yes, please.
Mr. Riddle, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
All approved.
Agreement purchases. That was underneath the consent.
Yeah,
agenda,
so
correct? Let me
discussion,
roll
items,
on
we move
down.
that item for the resolution to the top of the discussion.
Yes. All right, so resolution. Mr. Huddlestone would like to speak to the resolution that he brought to us.
First, I want to make a motion to accept that resolution
Okay.
on behalf of the board.
Second.
Okay. Before I make any comments in regards to this, first wanted to congratulate all the guidance counselors during National Guidance Counselor Week. I know all of our board members here appreciate the hard work that they do each and every day to help our students, so I wanted to offer congratulations to them. The resolution that we're looking to adopt tonight speaks to increasing school safety by asking the governor and the legislature to fund the purchase of wearable panic alarms for all school employees in the state. Now, before we vote, I want to read a prepared statement of mine which speaks to why this resolution is important to me personally. I'm reading it because I'm afraid I might become emotional if I just speak off the top of my head. Back in 2018, a mass shooting occurred at Marjorie Stone Douglas High School in a city just north of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which claimed the lives of 17 people and injured 17 others. Of those 17 people who were killed, 14 were students, one of them having been a former kindergarten child in the class. Two other teachers that I knew quite well had students that they knew when they were in their kindergarten class that were killed. Now, while those 3 students who died were not actual children of us, we were not their parents, I can say that in a small way they were. Speaking from experience, I can tell you that once you teach a child for a full year, no matter what grade, they become a part of you. You see, many teachers continue to follow their former students' lives after they have left their class, and any teacher can understand that. We sometimes check on their grades, we sometimes check on their attendance, and on occasion some students will come back to us to share their happiness, and yes, sometimes their sorrows. We've also attended some of their weddings, and unfortunately, some of their relatives' funerals. These students' deaths were quite an emotional experience for all of us. From this tragedy, there arose what is being called Alyssa's Law, so named for one of the students that was killed in the attack. It calls for the implementation and funding of panic alarms for all school districts within a state, within our state. Now, this law has been passed in 6 states and been discussed in 13 others as we speak. After the tragedy of the Covenant school shooting in 2023, Governor Lee and the Tennessee legislature passed a condensed version of this law asking school boards to, quote, unquote, consider the use of panic alarm systems. The consideration is not enough to keep our students safe. Just recently, we had another school shooting. 1 student dead, 1 student injured, and we need to do more now. Now, these devices allow employees to summon help to their location, whether for a medical emergency, a fight, or in the worst case scenario, an active assailant. When activated during threat situations, these devices immediately alert both staff and local law enforcement of the emergency, cutting down the response times dramatically. The signal that is sent would allow an SRO to know the exact location from where it was sent. Now, while I applaud the additional funding by the legislature in 2023 to provide an SRO in each school, to date, other than the $48,000 appropriated last year for the Safety Alert Grant pilot program, there was not any other new money allocated for any type of school safety in 2024. And I don't have to tell you that $48,000 is not going to cover the cost that needs to be spent. Now, I'm aware that some school systems have already purchased these alarms out of local tax dollars, but many school systems in this state cannot afford to do so. And besides, school safety should be more than a local concern. It should be a state concern. What this resolution is asking for is that Governor Lee, in cooperation with the Tennessee General Assembly, allocate dedicated funding for the implementation of wearable panic alarm systems in all Tennessee schools. If the governor and the General Assembly can afford millions of dollars for private school vouchers, the state can afford the cost of these panic alarms for every school district in order to protect every school student in the state. And while this resolution doesn't speak to it, I would also request that any school system that has already purchased such devices be properly reimbursed. Now, after we hopefully pass this resolution, I'm asking that it be sent to the governor, along with copies to be sent to Senator Crow and Representative Hicks and Alexander. Fellow board members, I urge you to support this resolution and stand with the nonprofit organization called Make Our Schools Safe Tennessee to ensure the full implementation of Alyssa's Law with state-supported funding for these panic alarm systems. Thank you for giving me the attention and allowing me to make this statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huddlestone. Any more discussion?
Just an update in the HUE committee meeting, we had taken our request with our quote to implement these wearable panic buttons through support through the county's educational capital fund. As I mentioned, that and the other items that were on the HUE agenda were passed by the committee to the budget committee. So we're making progress towards the full commission to consider the funding so that we can implement these devices in all of our schools.
Very well. Will they receive a copy of this resolution as well?
Sure, yeah. And the chairman of the education committees at the legislature, as well as our representatives and senator, and the governor, of course.
Mr. Barnes.
I'd just like to say thank you to Mr. Huddlestone for your work and for bringing this resolution before the board.
Yeah.
Support it. Thank you very much.
It was a deep meeting to me.
Any more discussion? Can we vote, please?
Voting's open. Mr. Riddle, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. All approved.
The Lewis Group, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks for being here. Not on the screen.
All right.
Just a very quick update. Security projects, we're this week working through some issues that we've kind of uncovered as some demolition is continuing in the buildings, running across some conditions that differ a little bit from what we're expecting, but nothing terrible there. So still working through that with Merit and provided them with answers that earlier today, so they should be on their way.
Did they get their steel work?
I don't think it's there yet. I think the steel had been paused while we worked through these issues because we didn't want to fab it and then get out to the field and it not work. So it was paused very slightly until we worked through those issues. We've got it all hammered out now.
And that's basically, if I understand correctly, about the interior of the block walls and the type of reinforcement that's in there.
That's right. So
And that changes the way the steel has to be fabricated.
exactly, it booms. So one of the headers above, it was things that you could not know until you got in there with demolition and blew everything up. So we made our best guesses as we were doing the documents, but nothing that we can't overcome. So it boomed one of the headers above the doors, which we assumed was a concrete bond beam support, solid concrete bond beam. We were tying back the new kind of entry sign into that for some lateral support. As we got in there, we realized it's a steel beam. It just kind of has superficial CMU on the side of it, so it looked like a bond beam. So we had to kind of change structurally how we're pinning that thing. That just took some conversations, some working through. And then at Crockett, one of the soffits that was above the canopy that we couldn't see or get into, so the canopy's removed and they drilled a hole in there, was constructed a little differently, so we had to adjust the height of where that beam's going to be. It's a little lower, a little close to that ceiling. So then we've got to route sprinkler piping, conduit data, all that. So finding ways to get that through the beam, under, over. That's all been worked out, and I think it still should be on site.
What's the scheduled completion for that?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was late.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't know if we're still on queue for that or not.
I believe so. I'll have to let Merit speak to that. And then for the Boone HVAC upgrades, the survey took place and they're kind of parsing through the data now. Talked to the surveyor on the way up here and they're gonna have a survey for us on Tuesday. Final survey. And there's a lot of underground utilities for them to locate out there with all the geothermal, so making sure we're locating this new building where it's not gonna affect, storm sewer, there are lines all over the place.
Great.
That's all I got.
Any questions?
Just also want to, while you're here, we have the February 25th workshop, and we just ask that you all, Todd, if you could be here, Jake, if you could be here.
Sure.
With the board. Yes. we'll have you all on the agenda just to discuss the projects, also the HVAC project primarily. Yes, sir. Start time is for workshops is 5 o'clock.
We'll be there.
Thank you.
And then, as far as the boiler room project, are we kind of just on hold with that then?
Well,
until
you
that
know,
February 25th?
I'd say so, but I also have today in one of the committee meetings, Hugh Committee, I wanted to give them an update and heads up on I guess, the direction that we believe we're going with it.
Sure.
And for them, what to anticipate, the cost, the estimated cost. So I shared that with them today, but I think really won't be any movement until
Yeah.
we get to that point.
Well, when we get the survey, we'll take a look
Yep.
at it, see what the information shows us there, and
Yep,
we'll
that'd
be
be
prepared
helpful.
for that
Yes, sir.
on the 25th.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right?
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Be safe.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's move to the Daniel Boone High School HVAC design and engineering. Let me-
When are we gonna put that on hold to the 25th?
Well, that's what, any work, the board can defer this till later if you choose to do so, or make any other motion. But if you feel inclined and most comfortable to defer, then I would defer.
Mr. Walters.
I would request that we would defer to discuss in the workshop once Lewis Group is there.
Is there any objections to that? Okay, we'll defer that to the workshop.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to policy review. There is a summary of policies there in BOE Connect. And we will start with policy 4.603. Mr. Flinger, I'm sorry, I spoke.
No, you gonna
Yeah,
go.
you go right ahead.
Can I make a motion that we approve 4603, 4700, 63071, and 5118, and 4833 policy changes as amended?
Yeah, that's 4403.
Oh, is it okay?
4403.
Should have put my glasses
Just
on.
wanted to correct that for the,
Okay, you do good.
just wanted to correct that for the minutes.
They all look the same here.
I have a
second.
motion to
I'll
group
second.
those together.
I second.
Mr. Walters has seconded.
Are we waiving first and passing
First
on
and
second?
final reading, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion about any of those? Any questions?
Just make most of these are to align with the changes in law.
If there's no more discussion or questions, we'll vote, please.
Voting's open. Mr. Riddle, how do you vote?
Yes.
All approved.
So we've added the we've added the South Central Ball Field, so we'll open discussion up for that.
Well, I went down there Monday and walked around out there, and I don't see. Now, I walked all over that field, and if they're just gonna play girls softball on it, you're gonna put a 200-foot fence up. I really don't see why we can't play down there, to be honest about it, because it's. On out in the field, yeah, it may be rough, but out here on the front, a little elbow grease and.
I guess my only thought is that deal with the umpires, the reason they're moving to the complexes is to have, they get 2 games instead of just 1 softball game. How many referees do you think is gonna sign up for 1 game versus getting paid for 2? I don't know.
I don't know, but I just hate to see them leave out there because they played there forever. I was told today that they've got enough boys to make make a baseball team, but I guess they've already combined them. So, but I just didn't, you know, Mr. Boyd would talk to Josh and the coaches and just see if.
Well, and we have, and Dr. Adams met today with Logan Clark, and I believe the president of Rutan. The concern is annually we put in money to repair the damage that's caused by what their their normal use is.
It's horse shows.
And as the technically leasee of the project, access basically by lease or an agreement, the question is should we be paying the cost to repair that damage? And we certainly understand for using the field, we definitely would take on the responsibility for maintaining the field and the cost of doing so during season. But it's really the startup when horse trailers are on there and other issues that may not make it a safe playing surface. So really, it's about updating the agreement and coming to some agreement about that cost for the preseason prep. And that's what Dr. Adams' meeting was today, just to discuss the possibility of those terms.
Well, what was said in it?
I hadn't got an update from Dr. Adams, so he could probably give us one.
I would love to. So we met with them at South Central. We put a provision in that the leaseor, meaning the Rutan, would reimburse the school system for the prep work of getting the field ready before the season starts, not to exceed $10,000 annually. And that we would provide them receipts for the work that we did, for the materials, equipment rentals, and that's how they would reimburse us with the receipts and the invoices that we would send to them. Right now, we're looking at probably somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 to get the field ready. Logan told them that it would probably take, he would need 10 days from the moment that we agreed to move forward and get the field ready. A lot of it has to do, Mr. Urban, with the infield. It's just a little bit of sand and it's just dirt. It needs to have a true infield mix, just like every other field that we play on has. The bases have to be reset, home plate has to be reset, pitcher's mound has to be reset because it's all sunk down from years of not having that kind of stuff done. So they're going to have to rent a tractor and pull the pitcher's mound out, pack down more clay and some other materials and reset all that. So there's a lot of work to be done. We left it with the Rutan people going back. They're supposed to have a meeting with their people tomorrow, and they're going to see if they can afford that cost. Apparently they've only had 2 horse shows there this year, and they only make $4,000 or $5,000 a piece per show, so they don't know if they can afford to cover the cost of what it's going to cost to get the field actually playable.
So we're just gonna have to wait till we hear back from them, is that what I'm understanding?
They told Mr. McKinney that they would be in touch with him by no later than Monday, whether or not they can afford that cost. If then it's two-pronged. If they can't, my assumption is we'll go play at Grandview. If they can, then the question is still, is that what we want to do? And so, again, and Mr. Flannery, I know you said something about the officials, and that will still be problematic.
That's what I'm saying. Even if we go down there, if they say, all right, we're gonna pay for it, we go down there and fix it up, and then we keep having, I mean, let's be honest, Ridgeview, Boones Creek, and Grandview will be the #1 places to play at, just because the referees will get paid for 2 games versus 1. And so if we don't have, we can't, if they keep having to say, we can't go, play, I hate to see that,
Fix it. Will they not be playing 2 games down the
spending that money.
It'll only be softball.
There's also a new assignment this year for softball.
Grandview.
Then Williams is
It's
not
combined
going to
legislation.
So
Well-
that's going to make some changes.
I am not speaking against anything. I just want to say this as a statement. Unless something's changed, you've got a beer bar that's trying to go down right beside where these kids are gonna play.
The beer
It did
board met
pass.
today and it was not approved.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Signal 9,
That's,
cancel.
that's why we're in this conversation.
All right, all right.
Yes, sir.
That was a
the
big
beer
concern
board-
of mine for kids and
Yes.
drunk drivers.
No.
Yeah, the beer board, my report was.
Okay.
It wasn't approved.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Praise the Lord.
So the agreement is signed by the Ruritan president, the superintendent of schools, and the board chairman. So when we hear back from them, I will bring it to Mr. Boyd, and then we'll let them do what they need to do. Is that all right?
I just don't, I mean, I don't know, I hate to spend any money down there and not be able to let them play ball. Get their hopes up, we're gonna have ball, you know, and then they can't find nobody to referee. I don't know. I just
Well,
don't-
I think in that instance, if it, which we already know, we're dealing with the referee challenge, the umpire challenges. You know, it may have to be that they play where there can be double games.
I mean, the bad thing is if you go down there and spend.
Yeah, I understand.
$7,000,
It'd be a
they pay.
practice facility.
Yeah.
When's the season start? 1st of March, I want to say, because we told them it's like that first week of March. I'm not exactly sure when South Central's first game is.
I can take it. This is Mr. Barnes.
Yeah, chime in as well. Not speaking for or against what's being talked about, but I will say, even if we can't, if these smaller, more remote schools can't play at their location, I'd sure like to see those kids have a decent place to practice and stuff. And that South Central, and it applies to some of the other schools. We spend a lot of money on a lot of things, and, you know, getting an established ball field in good shape is not a lot to ask for those kids.
And we also left it open at the workshop, we had all talked about it, that if the field was fixed, that they could go back and play there, but that's, you know, something we're gonna have to hold off on and wait until see what the Ruritan wants to do. So we can defer that back to workshop.
And just the provision around the reimbursement for the preseason repairs, prep, I mean, we put 10,000 because that's kind of historically in the range of the cost. Like Dr. Adams said, this year, it seems to be in that 5 to 7 range. You know, so.
Is that what we spend, what do we spend on typically like the other fields, like Greenview, Lamar, per field?
It's about, per field is about the same. The infield mix is basically, we redo each field about every 3 years. And that's what I told the Ruritan people. I said, 1 year it might be $8,000, and next year it might be $1,000. It just depends what condition the field's in, determines how much money and time and effort we have to put into it. And the original cost was about $8,000 to $10,000, but after our discussion at the workshop, we took out the man hours and then paying for our employees. Because the work that we do for the town of Jonesboro at the Jonesboro fields is overtime for our guys, because it's not, we don't schedule that during our workday, we schedule it after that. They do it on the weekends, and that's how the town's paying us, but we decided.
I sort of say, but we don't pay for those man hours, the town pays
The
for those man
town
hours.
reimburses us for that, yes, ma'am.
I just want school pride is huge. It was huge to me when I was in school. It's huge to every child, and community pride and all that stuff. Our board is transparent. I want us to continue to communicate with the communities here and let them know, hey, we've done everything we can think of to, you know, if that's not possible, that we've done everything we can think of to try to keep it in your area. That's just so important to me. These kids play for their school. They're happy and proud of their school, and that's where our focus should be. So, thank you.
Smallest school in the system.
Absolutely.
Has a softball.
That's exactly right.
And that's unreal. I mean, really, it's unreal. So, 180 kids. I can't.
Thank you, sir.
Sarah, anything else? All right, we will adjourn. So we have about 10 minutes, let's say 5 minutes, and then we'll start our strategic planning.
Thank you.
No.
I think